Hi, this is Ed from Exotic Blanks welcoming you to another video. This one will be a video on turning the abalone blank. We have just started handling these abalone blanks that are handmade, and as you can see, they come to us D-shaped. These are made in the resin saver mold, and so they are a little different shape. As a result of that, I decided to use a roughing gouge. Many of you have seen me use the skew often. Today I thought I'd show that I still remember how to use a roughing gouge. And this is a little easier when you're dealing with these D-shaped blanks. The skew will do it. It isn't something that's impossible, but it is a little more tricky than it would be with this roughing gouge. As you can see, the blank is peeling off the way I want it to. I'm getting ribbons. I'm not taking deep cuts. I'm taking very easy cuts. The lathe is going at probably 3,500 RPM. It's not real fast, but you do want to keep it moving along. When you're dealing with a D shape or anything with corners, it's always a good idea to keep the blank moving along so that you don't have time to go move into the blank. As you can see, once in a while it actually stops. What's happened there is that I've actually moved into the blank and caught it between the two corners, and so it will actually stop the blank if you do that often enough. It's not a good idea. It's not advisable technique, but once in a while it does happen, particularly when I have the camera on, so I can't hide it. So that's the way that I've done up to that point. As you can see, it doesn't take long. The actual time so far is under 2 minutes. So this is not edited. This is the actual amount of time it took me to get it down to a round blank. This is what it looks like when it got down to size. I did edit out 1.5 minutes of turning because it got boring. Now after it gets to the size, I'm going to put it on that facing device that I use frequently. This is sandpaper mounted in the headstock, and as you can see, there's a little space that has to come off. I'm not down to the brass tubes, so it's just a matter of moving that up to the sandpaper and turning the lathe on and turning it on to a relatively low speed. This is not done at a high speed. And then just move the blank up to the sandpaper, and as you can see, it takes off the material fairly well. Again, I don't think it's real exciting to watch this, so I'm going to cut this down and you'll see the finished facing in just a minute. Here you can see the metal is reflecting off of the brass, so you know that it has been completed and it's down to where it should be. Then there's just a matter of doing the final turning. I've reverted to the skew where I'm extremely comfortable. This is just to try to get the final shape and essentially get it down to the size that you want it to be. This is not difficult turning, but it is very slow. I try not to take much off at a time. Then it goes into the sanding. As you can see, I'm starting to sand here. I start with 400 grit. When you see that you have a completely white film over your blank, you have got it equally sanded. If you see areas that are a little shiny, it means that you have not touched them yet, and you actually need to do more sanding until that area is not shiny. It actually has white powder on it. Once the thing is white powder everywhere, you know that you are uniformly sanded across the blank. I did not cut this because a lot of people ask me how long it takes to sand these things and how difficult is it and so forth. So this is the actual amount of time that I spent on it. And you can see I spend a fair amount of time, particularly at the ends near the bushings. You want to be very careful not to hit the bushings too much because that will bring a gray film over onto your blank. It's not going to show up too much on this one, but on lighter colors that can be a real pain. I'm finished with the 400. This is the 600 grit. And again, I'm really only trying to shine it up at this point. This is the last step that I have before I go to buffing. I will take it to the buffing wheels and use Tripoli on the first one and white diamond on the second one. Once that is completed, you can see at this point I've got a fairly decent look to this, although it's nothing like shiny. When you see it in just a second or two, it has come off of the buffing. There it is, and you can see that it is very shiny. Just to make it a little easier to see what the pen looked like, I've incorporated into this at the end the video of the pen, and as you can see, it's revolving there, so it gives you an idea of what the actual pen looked like when it was finished. So that's all there is to it. The actual amount of time that it took me to make that pen was 10 minutes and a little change. I cut it in half. You've seen about 6 minutes. So thank you for watching. It's always a pleasure. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. This is Ed from Exotic Blanks. Have a good evening. Bye now.